Hello and welcome back to Rediscovering You. I am so excited about today's guest because her story is a powerful reminder that dreams don't have expiration dates. Alexander Sieder was a professional actor in the US before moving to Germany for love nearly 30 years ago. Life took her in different directions, but she always felt the pull to return to acting. And at 47, after a 16-year break and with less than perfect German, she successfully relaunched her acting career in Munich. You can even catch her in the Hallmark Christmas movie, A Heidelberg Holiday, now streaming on Netflix. But Anne's journey is about so much more than acting. It's about reinvention, resilience, and taking that first step even when you don't have it all figured out. And she's now on a mission to help others break free from fear and turn their passions into fulfilling, sustainable work through her program, Passion Project to Pro. Anne, I am so thrilled to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Welcome. Well, yes. Well, thank you, Laura. I'm excited to be here. Yeah.
I'm so intrigued by your new project that you have created, Passion Project to Pro. Can you talk about what inspired this new vision of yours?
Yes. Well, we even just recently upgraded the name, I'm going to say,
Ooh.
to Passion Project to Purpose, which I think is much more reflective of what it's about. So, what inspired me was actually my own journey of out of necessity, because when I decided to relaunch my acting career, not only had I had the 16-year hiatus, but because of that, I was super rusty. And I was lacking the confidence in my skills. Even though I had been a professional actor before, 16 years is a long time not to do something. So I knew that I needed to get training in order to feel like my skills were back where they needed to be and have the confidence in them. But as you mentioned, I was living in Germany and I didn't want to have the added layer of having to, be interpreting or hearing
Mhm.
my grammatical errors or any of that. I just didn't want anything to get in the way. I
Mhm.
wanted to work on one thing at a time, which was acting. So that left me with a choice. I could fly to London, New York, LA, Chicago, and try and get this really, well, it wouldn't have been a problem to get this really high caliber training that I wanted in English. But that would have been really expensive, not only
Mhm.
time wise, but also, money wise. And so what I have found is the challenge always contains the solution if you just start asking the right questions. And so honestly, this one was kind of a no-brainer. One of the best questions you can ask yourself when you're faced with a challenge is, well, what would be my ideal situation? My ideal situation would be to have this high caliber training with the coaches that I really admired and wanted to work with here in Munich. Okay, that just presents the second challenge. How do I make that happen?
Yes.
And that's what I began to do. I started to reach out to these coaches and told them, a little bit about myself, where I am, what I'm doing, what I want to do, and what's it going to take to get you to Munich. And I started to get my answers. And then I sat down with my little pen and paper and figured it out. And I realized originally, my original goal with it all was just to get the coaches here and be paying the same price I would pay if the coaches, for their training, of course, if the coaches were already in Munich. But what ended up happening really quickly was I was getting free training. I was earning between 1,000 to 2,000 per workshop. And I was building this community. On top of that, there were also some other things, but at the time I didn't see them as benefits. One was I was building authority. So at the time, this was a con, not a pro, because I was there to learn.
Right.
And when people
Mhm.
are viewing you as an authority in something, then they're reticent to like give you the feedback you need or be honest with it because they feel like, oh, I don't want to. And so I was always fighting against that, saying, no, I'm here to learn. And that journey, I would say, of realizing that I could monetize my passion for acting while getting the skills I needed without having to be the coach or the expert myself was kind of like a revelation.
That is such a unique perspective, and it makes so much sense. I absolutely love that. you manifested that. Something like just
Totally.
totally
Yeah.
new.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just like kind of born of necessity. I'm kind of like I'm gonna figure this out,
Yeah.
girl, you know? And that was the solution to my particular challenge at the
Mhm.
time. And that was now we were going on almost 11, 12 years ago, something like that. But, what I realized was as I had done that, and that put it aside, to be very honest, I did my training for a year and a half. I was bringing in 1 to 2 coaches per month, and I would call those the big workshops. And then in between, I would invite the actors who had participated in the big workshops
Mhm.
to meet up and do little workshops to practice what we had learned. So I was working out like 5, 6 days a week. So
Mhm.
I was, really rapidly getting the skills I needed again to feel confident. And then when I had that, I was like, okay, done. Now, the other benefit, yeah, and I really kind of put it aside again. And it wasn't until a couple of years into my relaunch where I was like, I'm getting typecast. They're obviously not seeing aspects to who I am that I want them to see. What
Yep.
can I do about this? And one of the things I decided I could do was I could, create my own show reels, scenes, and because I didn't want them just to be scenes, I started to shoot a short film per month. But filmmaking is expensive. So even when everybody's donating everything, it's
Mhm.
expensive. You still, at the very minimum, have to feed the crew, have
Mhm.
to feed
Mhm.
the cast. If you're bringing somebody in, you have to pay for housing and for transportation. To entice a really good director of photography, you have to rent some nice equipment,
There's so much, all the costs that most people don't even think about.
Yeah, but I mean, at the bare minimum for 10 to 15 people for 2 to 3 days.
Which is
It's
expensive.
Yes, it is. It is. So then I thought, oh, okay. Well, those workshops, that worked really well to make a couple thousand extra euros. So why don't I just do a workshop that, I like anyway
Yeah.
and make the money I need? So
Yeah.
that's what I call phase two of that. And phase three, which is what I still will use these workshops for occasionally, is when I would like to have someone get to know me who I want to work with. But I want to do it in a way where I'm not this little actor and they're this big time director or casting
Mhm.
director or whatever it is. I want to get us on even footing. And the workshops are a great way to do that because, first of all, I'm giving something of value, literally
Mhm.
paying them. Right. But I'm also giving them a platform to share their expertise, to meet other actors, to do something they love, which is directing or giving
Mhm.
advice or, whatever it may happen to be. And if I want to participate in the workshop and show them who I am as an actor,
Mhm.
obviously I can do that. Those were kind of the benefits, the myriad ways that I realized that there were benefits of it. And over the years, now I'm 58, so I've got lots of friends, give or take, 20 years, honestly, right? But what I notice is especially with people around my age, around, the 50 to 60, 70, somewhere in there. So many people have been doing things with the majority of their life that they're just not happy with.
Mhm. That is so true. Yes.
And they don't see a way out because they're sort of wearing these golden handcuffs, right?
Mhm.
They have a lifestyle or they have a family or whatever it is, but some aspect of their life needs to be maintained. And they believe, and beliefs are just that, they are not facts, but they believe that if they were to do what they love, that they couldn't make that a sustainable part of their life. And what I have learned through my own experiences, you most certainly can build that bridge back to your passion, back to your purpose. And I think the other thing that comes up is so many people, there are a lot of people that are like, well, I don't necessarily have a passion. So what about me? How am I supposed to lead a life of meaning? And for that, I think you have to follow your curiosity.
That's key.
Because absolutely. First of all, you're never going to be bored, right?
Yeah.
And second of all, your curiosity, if you are truly open to it, it is going to take you on a road And you don't know what's around the bend. You don't know who you're going to meet that's going to introduce you to someone or something else that may finally spark that. I believe we all have the capacity for being passionate, fulfilling our purpose. And I think that our curiosity is the key to finding that passion, which is the key to fulfilling your purpose, which is why I changed the name from Passion Project to Pro to Passion Project to
I
Purpose.
love that the shift in the name change because I think it's so much bigger and broader and encompasses truly what you're trying to do is to have people living a life and making choices and doing things that feel aligned with who they are and bring them joy and happiness and being really authentic with what their values are, which is all about purpose. And then if you
Yes.
can monetize that, fabulous. Who's going to argue with that? That you can
Yeah.
find a way to also, in discovering your purpose and living that, to be able to bring some money in, doing something that you love. And another aspect of what you're sharing that I really want to highlight because it is so important is creating or finding your people, your community.
I definitely wanted to touch on that too, because I think once your kids are kind of past a certain age, it's it becomes harder and harder as adults to make new friends. We kind of get really insular with our family, or if we still have it, whatever
Mhm,
that looks
mhm,
like, right? And I think that this is a really natural way to meet other people who share your interest, which
mhm,
is a natural bridge to building a friendship with someone, is
mhm.
around shared interests, shared passions. And it's also because what I advocate is not just doing one workshop, but doing one event. And so it could be a workshop, it could be a seminar, it could be a retreat, it could be a weekly hike, it could be a cooking get together, it could be a interior design group, painting, gardening. I mean, there's, homesteading. There's really no limit other than I would say don't bet on becoming a doctor through workshops, but that's just no one I want to visit anyway.
Right.
But maybe foraging for healing fauna, that could be something, right? So there are so many directions that it can go. But the thing is, yeah, I think that because the very nature of the way it's built, you're building community in a way that you are not setting yourself apart from the other people. You're saying,
That
I
makes
am a
sense.
beginner, or
Yeah.
I'm where I am, I'm here to learn, just like you.
Right. You're, like you said earlier, you are leveling the playing field. The community makes it so there's not a hierarchy of like, I am the leader, I know all, listen to it. It's just we're all learning together. And that just makes it, I would think, for the person, quote unquote, running the workshop, more enjoyable because you're not pressured to be the expert, to have all the answers. Like you can get in the sand and play just like everybody else. And being in community, just by nature of being in a room with other human brains, you are naturally going to be exposed to ideas that are new to you, which would not and could not happen if you didn't put yourself in that room, in that situation, in that vortex of minds. And that is how you grow. That is how you might discover a passion that you didn't know you had and want to like be curious about that, as you said, and learn more and go down the rabbit hole a little bit and see if that is something that you want to really pull into your life.
Totally. Absolutely. That was, it was a very long-winded answer to your question, but that's really how it came about. And then because I had so many friends and people that I know who weren't happy, and I was always coming up with
Mhm.
like, well, you should do this. Well, you should do this. But what it always boiled down to was curating experts or coaches
Mhm.
and creating events around that.
What advice would you give to somebody who is listening and intrigued by the idea, but they're like, but I don't have a circle of experts that I can curate. This couldn't be for me because I wouldn't even know where to start with attracting the type of people that I want to be in the room.
Yeah. Well, let's just pull an example. I don't know. Say it's knitting. I don't know. Sewing. Say
Love it.
sewing, right? Go to what I would do if that were my passion is I would first start with, I would look online and see,
Mhm.
are there any fabric stores around that offer courses in the evenings? Joanne Fabrics, do they offer weekend workshop courses? Well, who's doing those? I would also do hashtag sewing coach or
Mhm.
hashtag what do you call that? I don't
Crocheting,
know,
knitting.
quilting, yeah, something like that, right? Yeah, that's not necessarily my passion, but it's okay, right? And I think it's a great example because it's not my passion because I don't necessarily know, right?
Mhm,
So this is just where I would start. Then seamstresses, right?
mhm.
Another thing you could do is just go to your local tailor or seamstress and, say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what I would like to learn how to make a skirt in a weekend. Do you think you could teach me and a group of my girlfriends how to do that? Right? So it's really opening your mind back up to the creativity that we all possess, and figuring stuff out. Obviously, I also have a course that walks people through all this. Honestly, there are so many things. Like if you're like absolutely, I'm a DIYer, I can figure this out on my own, then absolutely you can, It's really just first find the coaches because those are going to be the one that attract the people,
Mhm,
like have the thing, right?
mhm.
And then you start looking for the people as well. So, who are the people that show up to these workshops? Who are the people that populate these stores? Who are the people that are posting? I would post stuff in a library,
That's another
maybe
good
leave
idea.
notes in the books from really about sewing, stuff like that. I mean, really try and think outside of the box. For these community centers are a great place
You
to
bring up
find.
so many amazing ideas and yeah, and I think it's about also getting over yourself in a sense and being willing to maybe step a bit outside of your comfort zone and reaching out to, that seamstress if that's what you're interested in and saying like, like, hey, this is an idea that I have. Are you interested? Because I think that you might be surprised with the amount of positive response you're going to get when you reach out to people who you want to bring into your circle and share their expertise and just have fun with them.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, first of all, who most people are pretty okay with earning a little bit of extra money in a fun way, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that's, that right there is kind of a no-brainer. And the other thing to remember is, okay, maybe that person doesn't have time on the weekend or in the evening or whatever it is, but there's going to be someone else.
Yeah.
If we are not living in a world of today with a dearth of coaches, if anything, it's just the opposite. There is a coach for
Everything.
everything, everything.
Yeah,
So, and I think that there are more coaches than not who are probably not earning as much as they would like to be
oh,
because there are
absolutely.
so many, right? And so this is also a way to help them as
Totally.
well,
It's
you know?
reciprocal. Yes.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah.
I am just so in love with this project of yours, and I feel like it's going to have such an incredible impact because it's going to help so many people who are thinking really small about their life and what is possible for their life really blow it up and expand and just be able to have so much more joy and purpose and connection. Because I want
Yes.
to go back to something you shared earlier is that a lot of people at a certain phase in life are just like, okay, well, I can't possibly do anything new at this point. I'm too, quote unquote, I'm too old for a change. I'm too old to pursue that purpose. And so they just don't. And so that's like a lie, I feel, that has been given to us by society and kept us very small. When in reality, like our imagination is really the limit of what is possible. And
I could not agree more. I mean, don't believe everything you think, right?
it's awful.
Yeah. And I mean, I was just listening to a podcast today where we are human beings have a negativity bias.
Mhm.
So, of 100 thoughts, 75 of them will be negative.
I know. It's so sad.
That's not going to work, blah, blah. It is so sad. Yeah. And actually, we can train ourselves not to think that way. But you
Mhm.
first have to become aware that you're even doing it.
Mhm.
Because I think so many people grow up doing it with parents that did that and teachers and other kids. And it's just like how things were, how things are. And
Yeah,
you take that as fact, but it is honestly the very definition of a limiting belief.
absolutely.
Because, yeah,
Yes.
because it keeps you from doing the things that will help you to grow, that will help you to live the life that when you close your eyes at the end of the day, you're not, in watching your final film before you lay down for the big sleep, that you're not going, change the channel. I want a different one,
You're never gonna be on your deathbed being like, you know what? I'm really glad I didn't take that chance. I'm glad I
Exactly.
stayed in my comfort zone. That's really, really like,
Yeah.
no, go for your dreams. What do you have to lose?
Yes,
You're like,
absolutely. And you know what I think also, Laura, is I think honestly, some of the big existential questions that we have as human beings are like, what's it all for? Why
yeah,
am I here? Right? And I mean, since we could think, we've been wondering this.
yes. What's the
And
meaning?
what is the meaning?
Yeah.
Why?
Hmm.
Right? And the only way I think to make it have meaning, and it is everybody's choice if they choose to give their life more meaning or not, is to have a positive impact on other people. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be millions of people or even thousands of people. It could just be a few people. But the meaning that we can give our lives is by having a positive impact on other people.
I could not agree with you more. Absolutely. If you are able to, in any way, help other people or pull them up or build them up or shine your light, that is what it is all about. Not just for the other people that you're impacting, but for your own soul, your own self, to just really know that you are helping others. That is the greatest gift.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is the one thing that, well, first of all, you'll be fulfilled,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
know, because that is the greatest gift, is knowing that you're helping other people, is knowing that you've made a difference in somebody's life, right? This
Yeah.
is why gift giving, when we really put thought and care into gifts, and why that's so much more pleasurable than gift getting.
Is. Yes.
Yeah.
You take the time and care, and then to see the joy that it brings the other person and knowing the positive impact, that is so much more valuable and rewarding than receiving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so that's kind of it. And I also realized, I guess, the reason I decided to make this a course, because I already have my other course for actors, which
Mhm.
is helping actors to trained actors who've been in the business for at least a few years. So I don't work with beginning actors. I work with actors who were kind of like I was. So I had been a professional actor, but for whatever reason, I had taken, well, I knew my reason. For to care for my family, I had taken this long hiatus. And honestly, that's mostly the reason that people come to me. They're like also actors that have put their dreams on hold for
Mhm.
life, obligation, kids, whatever it is. And now they're like, okay, time's a ticking here. I want to have my career back. And so those are the actors I really love helping to get back on their feet.
Well, you're the
But for
perfect person to do that because that's your story. You lived that. And so, like, you are the embodiment of how to, get back into the acting profession after you've taken a break. So, your energy and your knowledge is going to be the most powerful helper in these other people that you're working with to get them back on track.
Yeah, yeah. And that has been really rewarding as well.
Mhm.
But the reason I decided to make Passion Project to Purpose a course as well is just because there are so many people, even though I would tell them, like, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. This is how you figure out. This is where you find the coaches. People just don't do it. And I think a lot of people really just want more hand holding. And it's the action of doing something that's going to give them the confidence, right? And
Mhm.
so the course literally walks them through from, even if they don't have a passion, of like figuring out what is that curiosity that
Mhm.
we can explore a little bit more. And what does that look like for you? And bringing them all the way through from finding their coaches, finding their experts,
Mhm.
finding their participants, how to get the word out about it, finding a venue if you need it, all the way up to it's only a 6-week program, all the way up to week 5, where everybody goes off and launches their event, whatever it may be.
So,
And
can
in
you?
weeks,
Oh, go
yeah, no,
ahead.
I was just going to say in week 6, which is something that I think most programs don't do, is we all come back and we do a debrief. What went well, and what are you going to do differently next time? And what it does is before the course is even over, they will have successfully launched their first event. And once you've done it once, you can do it again.
Beautiful. Yeah, like that first time is always the scariest time. And then you just have the
Yes.
confidence that I did it before. I can do it again. There will be
Yes.
things that you can polish, and there's always things you can polish moving
Yeah.
forward. But that
Yeah.
first time is so key. But you talked a little bit about this, but I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. Is your course, is it taking place in real time with other students or other participants, or is it self-directed and you do it at your own pace? What's the structure
No,
look
no,
like?
I'm a real hand holder, I gotta
Yeah,
say.
I was
It's
hoping
the
you'd say
mama
that.
in me. Yeah. So it would be taught live. And then the way I would do it is the way I run my actors course, which is I teach the lesson on the first, the first time we get together that week. And then we get together a second time that week. So we actually, even though it's over 6 weeks, we get together 12. So the second time is to answer any questions. The first time is like, this is what you need to do, go forth and do it. And now, a couple days later, did you have any questions? Are you having any problems? What can I help you with? And through every stage of that. And then there's also a community, which I think is so important because you even said this earlier in the conversation. People are going to be sparking each other. Like that person who wants to make a skirt and has come up with a great idea for a location. Somebody else who maybe wants to, I don't know, do reupholstery might come up. You're like, whoa, that's amazing.
Right?
I could do something. Right. Yeah. So I think they're really going
Mhm.
to be sparking each other.
This is so incredibly exciting, and I love that it is such a hands-on approach that you're doing, because I think that, working with you and having your energy and your enthusiasm and expertise in this is going to really amplify the success that is possible for the people that attend.
I am like hell bent. I'm seeing that everybody who joins gets their project off the ground, gets their event, done, launched, so that they have that, so that they maybe even make their investment back before the course is even over. That would be my dream for all of them.
And it's
Yeah.
absolutely possible. It is
Yeah.
absolutely possible. I mean, I think people think that, you have an idea or a dream and like maybe 10 or 15 years from now, maybe it'll pan out. But no, like when you have an awesome coach leading you, a quality course telling you exactly what to do, the community supporting you, building you up, giving you ideas, people would be shocked at how quickly that they can manifest and create something and really alter the trajectory of where your life is at.
Absolutely. And this is another reason because I had really kind of gone back and forth on how long to make the course. And I
Mhm.
was like, no, 6 weeks, a month and a half, your life is going to be different.
And that is like a manageable chunk of time that's also so exciting because like
Yeah.
6 weeks, to think in 6 weeks, I'm going from having nothing to being able to pursue my dreams and maybe monetize it too and just fulfilling my purpose. Like that is
Yeah.
exciting. Like that's not like, okay, we have a 2-year coaching program, like which is great.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
6 weeks. Wow. Like think of the transformation.
Well, oh, totally. And I'm so excited about that. But I think also this is something that, we live in where everybody is like deciding, oh, I'm going to be a coach. Well, I can teach this. And or if I'm if I have a passion, the only way for me to monetize it is to be a coach. And we've kind of been told by a lot of the bigger coaches that, if you just stay two steps ahead of everybody, you're good. That's it. But I kind of disagree with that. I think that if you're only two steps ahead of someone, you're always looking over your shoulder. Oh my God, when are they going to catch up? Ah, and it also doesn't let you be open to the I don't know factor. And the only way to learn something new is to be open to the I don't know factor.
Mhm, mhm.
Because when you know everything, there's no room. The door's down.
What would you say to somebody listening that is intrigued but feeling a little bit of self-doubt that this isn't possible for me. This is too good to be true.
Well, what aspect would be too good to be true? I don't know. I think it's a very step by step. I would say honestly, the biggest thing that I guess I would say is remind people that the dreams that you have, they're worth having.
Mhm.
You are worth achieving them, and they do not live inside of your comfort zone. So if you want them, you have to take those steps to enlarge your comfort zone, to get outside of it. Even if they're just baby steps, small, intentional, consistent
Mm-hmm.
baby steps will get you where you need to go, you know, just as well as leaps and bounds. Maybe not as fast,
Yeah.
but so what? Not everybody has to move at the same pace. And this is also why I offer so much hand holding, really to like, walk them through step by step. And because I've done it so many times,
Mhm.
I've got like all these templates and, the email templates, the budget templates, the how do you, all of that kind of stuff. So I've tried to make it as I guess as easy as possible. I
Yeah.
mean, still people are going to have to do some thinking and soul searching. What is it they want to do and all of that? But I think that's where you find the growth. Me handing you something and even though the system is being handed, but you still have to figure out what it is and what makes you happy, right? So you have to know for yourself, what am I, because, and here's the interesting thing too, because it's in a sense a choose your own adventure kind of a thing. So for me, as I said, the very first phase of it, I was only interested in training. And the money that I was earning by it was like nice,
Okay. Nice.
you
Yeah.
know. But even if I hadn't been doing that, I still would have kept at it because I wanted the training. So it really kind of depends what you're after, right? And I could imagine if I were very lonely, having moved to a new city or just gotten a divorce or whatever it is, that would be a great way to build community. So maybe
Mhm.
that is your first focus.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it really kind of just depends what, or maybe a couple thousand a month sounds really great. How could that change your life,
Mhm.
And how could you turn that into slowly? Because I think this is the other thing. People are like, well, I can't leave my 9 to 5. Well, you don't have to leave your 9 to 5. You can build this up as quickly or as slowly as it feels comfortable to you. And you may find that once you have a place to put your energy that makes you happy, that you don't hate your 9 to 5 so much.
Yeah, yeah, because it's changing the way your brain chemistry is working. So you're going to
Yeah.
see, the more positive sides of things and not the drudgery so much if that's, not what your calling is to leave the 9 to 5. I think you just highlighted the ripple effect that pursuing your dreams, pursuing your passion is going to have, not just in expanding that area of interest, but in your overall happiness throughout other areas of your life. Most likely, your relationships with family members are going to be shifted as well. It's just going to have a really beautiful, positive effects on so many areas of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to be happy. There's so much more that connects us than divides us, and there's so much more that we have in common than not. And
Yes.
it's, whatever you want for yourself, somebody else wants that for themselves as
Mhm.
well. Love, respect, to
Mhm.
feel valued, to feel like they matter.
And I am so inspired by the work that you're doing and the project that you've created. If listeners are wanting to learn more or sign up, can you share a little bit of information right now about how they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a workbook that will walk them through kind of the first steps of where to find a coach, where to find those participants. You can find that at Act Bold Training, Act Bold, shameless plug, actboldtraining.com and then backslash P as in passion two, so the lowercase
Mhm.
P2, actboldtraining.com backslash I'm also super easy to find via Linktree at act_bold or my name anywhere else, Facebook, Instagram. I'm there. I'm the one answering in the DMs if you want to reach out.
To know that you're actually
Yeah.
going to be hearing from Anne directly. That's
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
will be sure to include all of that information in the show notes as well to make it easy to find and navigate. But Anne, I am so excited to see how this project plays out and the success that it's going to have in the lives that it's going to change. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I thank you so much for your time and for sharing this new project with our listeners today.
Laura, thank you so much for having me on. It's really been a pleasure.